If you know I'm going out to eat and I want an appetizer and an entree and dessert or whatever, send at least $100.
Right.
How do you guys feel? Should women be grateful for whatever a man sends to her Cash App?
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna say yes.
Whatever he gives,
Absolutely not.
It's a thing.
Be
that
grateful for
women,
whatever
Okay, let's
he
just say
gives?
it's 30. We're gonna say 30. We're gonna give the 30.
What's the
You
30
going out to
for? What's the
You're going
30
out
for?
to dinner.
Okay, go ahead.
With your girl.
Wait, is it lunch or dinner? Because it.
I'm changing. Don't make it
No,
spicy.
it's lunch or dinner because
lunch.
30 is
That's
not enough to even cover the valet. Hello, we live in
here we
Miami,
go.
Florida.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna say lunch. I'm gonna keep it on target. Now, I
Let's
want
do
to make
lunch
it spicy.
because I feel a little better
Spice
about
it up,
that.
spice it up.
All right. So we're gonna take some of the spice away. We're gonna pour some water. We're gonna water it down and use the actual scenario. Okay. So it was lunch, $30. All right, so this is something that I went viral for a few months ago, and now it's back circulating. A young lady was talking to a gentleman, and he asked her, what was she having for lunch? He was going to send her over some money, and when she checked her Cash App, it was $30. Now, the internet is in an uproar because, you got this side saying you should be appreciative for whatever the man give, and then you have the other side saying, if you know I'm going out to eat and I want an appetizer and an entree and dessert or whatever, send at least $100.
Right.
How do you guys feel? Should women be grateful for whatever a man sends to her Cash App?
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna say yes.
Whatever he gives,
Yeah,
not.
it's a thing.
Be grateful
that
for
women,
whatever
Okay, let's
he
just say
gives.
it's 30. We're gonna say 30. We're gonna give the 30.
What's the
You
30
going out to
for?
di-
What's the
You're going
30
out
for?
to dinner
Okay, go ahead.
with your girl.
Wait, is it lunch or dinner? Because it.
I'm
that's-
changing. Don't make it spicy.
No,
Camera. So and mics. So there we are. So right there, the stage is set. There's some more, and we're gonna see how they respond to it, and we're gonna be able to unpack that in a little bit. But here's the idea: should women be grateful? And the scene, she said, "Hey, you're meeting this guy. So you're not in a relationship.
Yeah.
You're meeting this guy.
Yeah.
He is concerned. Hey, you're at work, and he says you're hungry. And he sends you $30.
Yeah.
Should you be grateful for whatever he sends? Seemingly, they took issue with the fact that it was $30.
Okay. My personal opinion, yes, I would be grateful because that's $30 extra in my account or $30 extra that I did not have. And I can definitely buy lunch with it. Like I don't see the need to have $100, especially if this is someone that I'm just starting to talk to. Like there shouldn't be that, like, I guess in a sense, pressure. And for the guy, I take it as like a really nice gesture that he's first of all thinking of me and had the thought of saying like, hey, would you like me to send you $30 so you can buy yourself lunch? Like, yeah, I appreciate it. I would appreciate it.
Nice, and thank you for sharing that. And the idea that this unpacks here is when we're in 2023 and we're getting the sense from these ladies, when you're in 2023, men are still responsible, expected to do the things that they've always done. As you said, be responsible, take the lead. So if a guy invites you out on a first date, you're going to expect him to pay the meal, or you're going to split the check.
No, I would expect him to pay the meal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so historically, that's how it's worked. A guy likes you, then he has to invest into courting you. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But are we living in the same world now?
No.
In the world of equality, what does that mean? What does that look like?
I mean, we definitely are not living in the same world just because like women like have different expectations, and I feel like the world that we live in now is very materialistic. It's all about like the fancy places, the showing off that I have this and that. It's like there's not really a lot of like genuine, like care, and it just comes down to like people showing off what they have on social media, and it's not really like them trying to build a connection with someone. So definitely is not equal, and it just kind of sucks to be honest.
And you're saying this as a woman, so imagine
Yeah.
the men who are experiencing this. So
Yeah.
we're going to continue the clip, but I wanted to just call attention to something. There's another clip that I was looking at where this guy invites this girl out to dinner. And he takes her, and this is in the States, so he takes her to, I think it was the Cheesecake Factory.
Okay.
And her response was, you can't take me to a chain restaurant on the first date, because like you said, she's expecting him to take her to a nice restaurant, an expensive restaurant, because the expectation is he must court her. And so she locks herself in the car and she's like, I'm not getting out because I don't go to these. And you'll see a lot of female influencers who are promoting this kind of lifestyle. If the guy's not doing these things, then you're not entertaining. Which cuts to this video now. If he's just sending $30, let's see what the conversation goes to.
Okay.
Lunch dinner because
lunch.
30 is not
That's
enough to even cover the valet. Hello, we live in
here we
Miami,
go.
Florida.
Okay, here we go. I'm gonna say lunch. I'm gonna keep it on target. Now, I
Let's
want
do
to make
lunch
it spicy.
because I feel a little better
Spice
about
it up,
that.
spice it up.
All right. So we're gonna take some of the spice away. We're gonna pour some water. We're gonna water it down and use the actual scenario. Okay. So it was lunch, $30. Are you gonna be grateful, or should women be grateful for that?
Okay, I'm grateful that I woke up this morning, and I'm grateful for unexpected miracles and blessings, right?
Yes.
But $30 to like, so he knows I'm going to lunch.
He knows you're
He
going to
knows
lunch.
my vibe. He knows how I like to move, and he only sent $30. I just feel like maybe he doesn't know a woman of your caliber or a woman of your like how you like to move. So $30 to him was like that. Let me throw this out here and see if she's okay with that,
Yeah,
right?
let me see
Okay. So you got to be grateful in the sense of thank you, baby. Like don't make it confrontational. Oh, you should have gave me and you're not doing that.
Yes.
But it's very much so. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you. You know, I love it.
I'm very appreciative.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, but you are not a faithful.
No, and I'm not even gonna say right then and there like, oh, it's a problem. But now I have to move in a way where he knows what I like and what I expect and what I do for myself. And if he sees that I'm moving this way, and he's thinking, damn, I see her. Her nails be this, her perfume be this, just to go out. Her hair, her. When she go out, she likes a Lafette Rosé. She likes something that's already in the club. I'm just saying. You know
You gotta show a man how to treat you. Definitely
you
do.
gotta show a man how to treat
Definitely
you.
do.
So don't make it confrontational. If it's $30, just thank you.
Because men love to, oh, she's so ungrateful. But what I will say is that people in general have this thing of humbling women. They have a thing of, oh, you should be grateful for whatever he can do. No, you shouldn't. Absolutely not. You should never.
That's what I was trying to say.
I'm not saying, like you said, be grateful that God woke you up this morning. Be grateful that God provided an extra little $30 for you to,
Unexpected blessings and miracles.
that's
Thank you,
cool.
Lord.
But I'm not gonna bend over backward for a man that is just sending whatever he can, or if he's not gonna be my boyfriend, number one, but if I'm talking to him, next time I'm out and he says, oh, you need something for lunch, I'm gonna tell him, it's okay, somebody already sent me $100. So he know that
You're going for
the next time, you got to, because it's better, like you said, instead of throwing a fit and, oh my God, and going on the internet, it's better to just show him what real men are doing.
Yeah.
Right.
So there are a couple of things that are in that, right? And she ended by the idea of dismissing him and telling him, hey, guess what? Someone else already took care of it. This is what real men do.
Yeah.
So, and of course, the idea of $30, not how you position it as grateful, appreciating. Even though they're saying, hey, we're appreciating, we're grateful, but that doesn't necessarily come across in the delivery. What were your thoughts watching the video?
I just thought like it was just rude. Like it's so unnecessary. Why are you gonna tell someone no? I already got $100. That's just rude. For me personally, if I'm getting to know somebody, like I don't have this high expectation that you're gonna give me $100 right off the bat. Like no, like you're not my boyfriend. You're not my husband. You know. like we're courting, we're getting to know each other, and I feel like in a sense it's just like taking your time slowly to get to know this person, and to like as you build this relationship with this person, then yeah, be honest and have an open communication with them. But like right off the bat, I just think it's just so rude.
Yes. And I appreciate you sharing that. And here's the idea that we're unpacking here. What is the expectation on men in courtship? What does courtship look like? Because if you have women who, because in her mind, she's declaring her position up front. She's this caliber of woman. And so if you're coming to her, you must come to her with at least $100. And this is just off the bat, just the courting stage. This is just the interest stage. Because I think she also said, he's not my boyfriend and he won't be my boyfriend because, you know what, he's a $30 kind of guy.
Okay, well, cool. Good for you. I mean, if that's not what you want, all right, that's cool. But I just think, like, it's all about the delivery. Like, you don't have to. If you don't want to date the guy, then that's fine. But don't come across rude about it. Like, just be more subtle. Like, I just feel like nowadays, like, everything is very, like, aggressive. And, like, yeah, if they don't meet this high level of expectation that I have, then no, you're not up to my standard. Okay, cool. How are you coming across with your point though? Are you being like soft spoken, or are you being rude and aggressive?
And someone would go, well, being soft spoken and is akin to being feminine, and that's not, we're not about that life anymore. It's about being aggressive and being, assertive, right? Because isn't that what we're encouraging women to do now?
I mean, yes, you can be assertive, but you don't necessarily have to be aggressive. I feel like nowadays it gets thrown out there, women empowerment and like let's build up women, and I don't think it's being done in the right way, because like it's coming across very much so aggressive, and it's coming across like women, it's okay for women to talk to men like this. And I mean, like, me personally, I wouldn't speak to someone like that. Like, if I had a situation like that happen to me, like, I'd definitely tap into my feminine side and be more soft-spoken. Like, why would... I just think it's disrespectful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on that note, we invite the callers. What's the number? So persons in calling, weigh in on your thoughts on this video. Guy sends you a figure, and what we're going to do is translate it to Cayman dollars. The figure is, I guess, $25.
$25.
Yeah.
But you want to go down to what? The Brasserie, or you want to go down to Blue, one of these nice places, and you're like...
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I could definitely buy a salad with $25 from Brooklyn, so...
Okay.
And the Brasserie for lunch.
945-9029. 945-9029. I mean, if I were to weigh in, Robert, I just think that if you're just courting someone, if you're just dating, and you ask, number one, I don't even know if it's in place to ask for money. In the first place, much more if you ask for money and I give you $30.
Yeah.
If you can't take that $30, I don't even want you to be my girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting because this seems far and foreign because it's a U.S. it's from the U.S., but this is actually quite common here in the Cayman Islands, right?
I hope not.
You may be having conversations, and as the conversation goes along, you realize, you'd hear women actually go, if you can't pay rent or if you can't do these things, because there's an expectation that the man is to provide. So now here's what we're breaking down. Do men have a responsibility to provide? Let's not look at, this is just in general. Do men have a responsibility? You mentioned man has a responsibility to lead. Does a man have a responsibility to be the provider?
I'm the producer.
In my personal opinion, yes.
Okay.
I do agree.
So then,
with that,
if the man has a responsibility to be the provider, then how does he does he have a responsibility then to be able to demonstrate that at the onset? Because here's the alternative. And again, it sounds weird, but here's the alternative. He can only provide the $30 because that's all he can afford, but that's not the kind of life that you want. You actually go through the courtship phase.
Okay.
And he doesn't earn enough. What happens then?
Then you have a conversation with the person. You communicate with the person. Hey, like, this is not working out for me. But like, it's all about having like that respect and that understanding, and not letting it go to the point where like you get into a relationship with the person, you get married, and then you realize that they're not the provider. Okay, you realize from the first point of contact that you had, and when he sent you the $30, that okay, that wasn't enough for you. Cool. Now you have a nice conversation. Tap into your feminine side and have a discussion with this person, and just let them know you don't need to go about it aggressively or rude.
Okay. All right. So we take out the aggression, and the idea here is, how do we unpack the expectation for men and for women leading up to a relationship to make sure that you're not wasting your time, you are declaring your positions at the beginning, so that you don't have these back-end conversations of going, oh, I thought this was going to be more, but now it's not.
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like...
Dwayne just gave us a big sigh.
Why, Dwayne?
Because that's not the real world. What the picture that Robert is painting is not the real world.
It isn't?
No. Okay, let me tell you about the real world.
Tell us about the real world. Dwayne is my senior.
One, if the guy gave $30 that day,
yes,
it doesn't mean that's all he could have afford.
Yeah.
I didn't get out of the story.
Yeah.
Also, $30 would do good for lunch for him, and he's thinking that should be good enough for lunch, right? For a single, and most times women don't eat as much as men. The women eat salad.
Yeah.
Genesis said that would be fine for a salad.
All right. No. That's one. In proving to be a provider on the onset does not mean that you have to show that you have the initial cash up front. A wise woman can also see potential.
But isn't that the same? Isn't potential just another way of saying you potentially have the ability to fund the lifestyle that I want?
Yes.
Not right now.
But not right now.
Exactly.
But here's the thing, and I guess this is something that men
so
have
the
to...
$30 shouldn't matter.
But this is something that I imagine that women would have to explore. Not right now. Essentially, isn't that gambling?
Yeah.
I'm going to roll the dice. He can't do it now. I'll roll the dice, and hopefully he can do it in, and now that's when the invitation will be, in what time frame would you expect him then now to be able to deliver on this potential?
Let's look at the Cayman scenario.
Yes.
Say the guy comes from a country where they need a work permit. And because of the work permit situation, he cannot get the job that he is qualified for. Right? When, if he did need a work permit, he would have been earning way more than you expected.
Yes.
What does she do at that point?
And that's a great question. Because here, and I'm glad that you brought it to the Cayman context, right? If the work permit isn't granted, then that potential doesn't translate to become real. What does she do then?
Are they dating or are they married at this stage?
And that's a great question, because and here it is, at this juncture where these women are saying it, it's at the interest phase. And essentially the position that they're putting forward is they are not necessarily as invested in potential. They're looking maybe at, hey, what can you do right now? And then based on that, we can figure out if we can make the investment. As Dwayne said, someone could go, okay, fine. Huh? Right? what does it look like then if the later on the potential that you were hoping that he deliver on doesn't materialize? And one of the things that happens, and I think it happens quite here a lot in the Cayman Islands, women will invest in the potential with a young man, and then he doesn't, or what's the expected turnaround time on potential? Let me ask that question before I even unpack that.
What is the expected time on potential?
Yes.
I think I would give it. I want to be nice. I want to be really nice. I think I would give it 6 months to a year. 6
months to a year.
Yes.
Right? So a guy is unemployed. He is waiting for his work.
No, I'm not unemployed. He definitely cannot be unemployed. If he's, what was it that Dwayne was saying? The work permit.
He can't get the job, so he's underemployed. Let's use that word then. He's underemployed.
Yes, I like that terminology. Yes, he's underemployed.
So if he's not employed, then he can't have a conversation. How is that different then from if he can't come up to the $100 because he can only afford the $30? How is that different?
How is that different? Him being unemployed from him
underemployed. Because the $30 is under the 100. Because I mean, it's okay for us to have standards, right?
Yes.
So if your standard is $100, and hey, the $30 doesn't measure up, if the salary is, what would be a comfortable salary then? Because what would be underemployed in this context?
Well, I mean, I feel like if they have the qualifications, then there is that potential for them to reach the target that they want to get, or reach the target that we want to get to. So I would definitely give them a year to 6 months. Yes. If they don't materialize, so the work permit doesn't come through, or the job offer doesn't come through, then we're gonna cross the deadline and we're not gonna get there. Yeah, because I honestly, I wouldn't want to be wasting my time with someone who is not a provider. I wouldn't want to.
Can I just
And that's my personal opinion.
And that's okay. And so before you weigh in, Dwayne, and what we're trying to unpack here, some serious conversations, because if you understand that women want to be provided for, one has to ask themselves, what does that mean, and can I meet that, and how do you actually meet that? Because here, if she has declared that her desire is for you to be at a certain level, and you want to make life with this woman, then the expectation is going to be that you should step up to it. And this used to be pretty simple back in the day, where a man would be interested in a woman, and he'd meet her family, and her family would go, hey, the dowry is X, and so he has to go off to war, or go off on ships, or go off to make the money, make your resources, and then come back to present himself as a man who can provide. Yeah. But we've shifted that dynamic, in that we've shifted from the expectation now to potential. And so that now has caused a little bit of a challenge for both men and women, in that in the potential game, or in the potential equation, potential may not materialize. And also, is it easy for a woman to submit or follow a man that she doesn't see as the provider?
No, it's not easy.
It's not easy. Dwayne, you wanted to weigh in?
Genesis, I want to ask a question.
Yes.
Camera on yourself, boss.
So, this man is employed. I'm giving all perfect scenario.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Thank you, Jesus.
He has proven to be a provider.
Yes. I feel like there's going to be
6 months down the road. The 6 months that you said he should use to prove. Yes. But he proved that from day one. Right? 6 months down the road.
Yes.
He had an accident that cripples his ability for the rest of his life.
Why do you gotta put me in that situation?
But again, these are real concerns, and it's particularly key because these are real concerns from men. And of course, it has real implications on women. Yeah. And that's what we talk about here on this show.
What do you do?
You're supposed to be protecting her, Dwayne. What's happened?
No, it's a point I want to bring.
Okay.
I just want to bring a point.
What do I do?
Yeah.
Are we dating?
You're married now.
Yes,
Oh,
you're
we're
married.
married. Okay, that you see, that's a that's
Okay, you're not
completely-
married. You're dating.
Yes.
Okay, we're dating.
Yeah.
Or, let's make it interesting. You're engaged.
Engaged. So he committed
Yes.
to marrying to you. Yeah. And
What you said happened to him? What happened?
he had an accident that cripples his ability to provide.
What do you do?
And the camera is on you.
Can I play the fifth?
You want to call a friend?
No. There's something I want to say, right? Sometimes a guy may not be, he might be unemployed because of many varied reasons,
Yeah.
right? Conversation, as you put it, will make a world of difference.
Yeah.
Because even if it's a situation where he doesn't get the work permit in Cayman, that would make his qualifications be viable. A conversation with him could empower you to earn more money with his knowledge.
That's true. But you said it crippled his ability.
No.
to make-
I am saying. But I pass that. I
Okay.
pass that. And even if it cripples his ability to physically earn money,
Yeah.
the knowledge that he has can make you into a tycoon.
So here's the question on that, right? And this makes it interesting because now you've transferred the knowledge, and now she set up the business, and now she's earning.
Yeah.
What does she need you for anymore?
Well, it comes down to loyalty. It comes down to humanity. Love. What was what was our primary reasons for being there in the first place? Him being provider, or him loving her? And I'm very passionate about this, bro, because
Yes.
I believe that people in general put too much value on money.
Let them see how you see the passion on your face, man.
People put too much value on money. Like too much value. I think
Yeah.
that money is overrated.
Yes.
Right?
It's an interesting perspective. And what we have to be able to appreciate is, one, there is the feeling, and someone will go, yeah, man, you can't say anything because you have it. Right? You have money, so people can say, because the people who usually say that are people who have money.
Yeah.
When you don't have money now, it's a different conversation, because if it makes a difference between, or if $50 makes a difference between you being able to sleep because you're going to get kicked out, then money gets really, really important really, really quickly. If $50 makes a difference between, you being able to feed your family, money gets really, really important very, very quickly. And so here, one of the things I invite persons to do is to be able to have honest conversations about what is happening around them. And certainly, we can feel a particular way about someone who focuses on money, or we can see it as someone is declaring their position.
Can I share a personal testimony with you?
Testify.
My wife is an accountant. She
Yes.
has been an accountant for 26 years, something like that. Right? So she would know money.
Big money.
She would know the culture of is money is being very important.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yes.
that's what she does. She's
Yes.
an accountant. Just before we got married, I was unreasonably laid off from my job. And the employer gave me a letter to say, I'm just laying you off. I'm not going to cancel your permit because I need you. You know what this guy did? This guy went ahead, after I gave him that letter, the very same day, and canceled my permit. So I was here without permit, not knowing. All right? So
They're
that
not
was
just underemployed, unemployed.
unemployed. That was, we were in the process of getting married. right? We were in the process of getting married.
And she was getting married to an employed person.
Yes.
That has an income.
Yes.
And no
Yes.
unemployed, no income.
Right? And we did all that we could, spend up all the money we have and blah, blah, blah. Her birthday came up. Listen to me now. We're getting married December. Her birthday came up November 24th. And Robert, at that time, I had no money, save $1. One Cayman Blue Queen Elizabeth dollar. And I had paper at home. And I have a little artistic side about me. And I made a card. That's what I had.
Yes.
I made a card. And I didn't want her to spend $1. So I changed it, the $1, and I add 6 zeros to it and made it into $1 million. And tell her, I mean, this would have been the easiest thing for me to do if that's all I had. But the $1 is all I have, and that's I'm going to give it to you.
I'm giving you all I have.
All I have. Now, it didn't. You can imagine if my wife was a woman on that video.
Because you don't even reach the 30.
I don't even reach the 30. Can you imagine?
But here's the question though. Would you consider your wife as average?
Huh?
Would you consider your wife as average?
I consider my wife
The average as representative of the average woman.
I consider my
even
wife
here on the Cayman Islands.
I consider my wife as 100% woman. If a woman comes short of that, she's not 100% woman. So I don't know where you want to place that in average or whatever. I consider her as 100% woman.
Yes. And I consider you 100% man. But in the grand scheme of things, yes.
Average does not necessarily mean 100% woman. So she might she might be a less percentage of the popular women. Right?
But this is important, right?
Yeah.
Because what this helps us to be able to unpack is what the experience would be of the average man when they're interacting with the average woman.
Okay,
Because
but it depends on the boundaries. It depends on the depends on what the reference points and the it depends on what the expectations that the man laid down in the relationship. All right. They say you must hang your hat higher than you can reach it. I do that. I am not gonna. This you think I am gonna borrow? You think I'm gonna borrow $500
to buy her a nice thing and then know you're in debt? And this is important because remember, in the position, in the design, before we had credit and debt and all these things, the design was a man had to go out there and make it and then bring it back. So certainly the idea is not to hang your hat where you can't reach it. But as we're unpacking this, the invitation is for men to recognize what the average woman expects. And then here too, are you hanging your hat on the hope that she'd be a Katie?
No.
Or are you hanging your hat on the position that, hey, this would be the expectation of, I mean, we asked Genesis the question and she said it would be a challenge. And many women find that a challenge as if he isn't doing the things that you expect the man to do. Is it still easy to do the things that you're expected to do as a woman? And that's the human side of what we're talking about here. We can talk about the biblical expectations and we can talk about the human inclinations that are happening inside us and how we can make life easier for each other.
Yeah.
Because that easier for each other is not just how much money you put on the table. It's how we make it easier emotionally to accomplish the things that we need to do. It's how we make it easier for each other psychologically to accomplish the things that we need to do. And if you've set your designs on your heart that this is the woman that you want to spend your life with, what is it that you need to actually do to be able to make sure that that can happen, and vice versa? Because this is the part that we want to come to as well. Is there an expectation on women on the other side of the equation? So if he is delivering on those things,
Yeah.
right? If he's delivering on those things, then more often than not, now women are going, well, I don't know how to cook.
Yeah.
My nails are done, so there's no cleaning. Right? And of course, again, one of the things that used to happen is we used to have bigger families, but now we're going, no, that's going to mess with my summer body, so shape. So we're not doing more than one child now.
Gonna mess with the shape of my wallet.
So here it is. There's still the expectation on men. And I want us to zero in on that because I want us to say, hey, you know what? It's not unreasonable for a woman to expect a man to provide for her.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
But is it then unreasonable for that woman who expects the man to provide for her to not be able to deliver on the man's expectations? Yeah, he's going to make sure that you have the $100 and not the $30. But now he wants a big family and go, no, that messes with my shape and we're not doing that. Or going back to what you said, you can lead, but I'm not going to follow. I'm going to support.
Oh my goodness. I just think it's about like communication. When you're dating someone, you have to put you have to put everything on the table, all your cards on the table, and let them know, like, listen, this is what I want. This is, my desires, or these are my dreams, whatever. Like, these questions are very important when you're dating. You don't want it to get to the point where, like, yeah, you're getting married, you're 2 years into a relationship, and then you realize that, no, you don't want to have 5 kids. It's like, it's valid, important questions that need to be asked and discussed. Communication needs to be had right away from the get-go when you're dating this person. Because you don't want to waste your time, and you don't want to waste the other person's time if you're not willing to have 5 children. Yeah.
Yes, so declare your position. But in 2024, what I found, and there are a couple of news articles and there are a couple of stories out where men declare their boundaries or their desires or their expectations,
Yeah.
and these things seem more, I guess, many women would talk, you mentioned, hey, the man is the leader, but many women are saying, no. In the age of equality, men can't lead anymore. That's controlling.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's like leading has, I heard this the other day where there's being a captain and then there's being a boss, like a boss is someone just tells you what to do, blah, 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 blah. A captain is different, like helps you, leads you, guides you. Obviously, I would want my husband or my future boyfriend or whatever to be a captain. I wouldn't want someone that's like going down on me and like making me feel like, okay, I don't have a right to my own decisions or my own body, and that's where I see my point of view in terms of like men leading.
And that's a very fair point. And if the thing that he's coming to you constantly with is do, and you have no say, that is going to make you feel undervalued. That's going to make you feel like
100%.
But here's the thing. Does the captain ever have the authority to just ask you to do something without question?
It depends on the situation or the question.
So if he never has the authority to ask you to do something without question, does he have the authority at all? Does he actually have leadership?
Like I said, it depends on the situation.
Do you need to throw something in?
Pastor Campbell was here last time, and he said something that was, I didn't see it that way, but it made some sense. God designed the man to be head of the house.
Yeah.
Leader of the house. And it's because when there's 2 persons, there's not a majority vote.
That's it.
Right? And you can't have
Deadlock.
Yeah.
In those situations, God expects that the man leads.
He's going to take the decision.
Yeah, the man, because he's the one that's responsible for this decision. Now,
But if it's something that's threatening my life,
Do you think?
of course I'm not gonna like let
But do you think that
him lead.
But do you think then that the man that you love and trust and you've decided to
Is
put in
ever
charge
gonna
of you,
put me in that? Yeah.
because and
Hopefully
that's important to point out, because many times even this gets said in marriages, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't belong there, because one of the commissions to the husband is, husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church,
Yeah.
and must be willing to die for her. So if you are calling out, or you need to protect your voice because you're afraid that he may harm you, then maybe that's not the right man for you.
Yeah, you're right.
Right? And so here, what we're able to unpack then is, so let me ask the question again.
Okay.
Does he ever have the authority to decide?
Of course.
For me.
Yes.
Yes, if he's sent from God, of course he can have that decision.
But how do you know that he's sent from God? Because I like when people put that caveat in, but you're married to him. So are you saying you could be married to someone who wasn't sent from God?
Yeah.
So
But I'm not gonna be making that choice. Like, I feel like how would I know if he's sent from God? I don't know. I think it would just okay, I guess if I put it in the sense of my past like dating experiences, I feel like they definitely weren't sent from God.
How do you know?
And how? It's because like
Without getting into specifics.
when the relationship happened, it was like okay, I look at the Bible for references on how like a husband should be, you know, like certain characteristics that a husband should have, a godly husband should have, a Christian husband should have, right? The people that I previously dated did not have these characteristics, so I feel like if he's sent from God, he'll have all these characteristics, godly characteristics, and yeah, like I could definitely make you have.
So here's my quick pushback on that. So
Yes.
was David a man of God? Because you know he was an adulterer. All right. So let's just he's a little bit harder to swallow. What about Abraham?
David only committed adultery according to the Bible one time. What do you think?
One time only.
So wait. What are you talking about? Are you thinking there's a number? Is it only after the second time you become an adulterer?
No, but you're making it look like this guy was just this.
No. All I'm saying is, men of God can have flaws,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
and also someone who only did something one time. Abraham was about to commit child sacrifice,
That's true.
right? Let's go. Jacob, he was a trickster. That was embedded in his name.
See, like when you put it like that, it doesn't make me want to even like find a guy.
No, the point I'm trying to deliver here.
You can know if the person is sent from God because you would have gotten enough what I call inclinations.
Yes.
Spirit in your dating,
Yeah.
and you would have broken down. A lot of things inside of you because there was something about the person that attracted.
What do you mean by broken down though?
You'd have seen enough things that you made slide, you made slip.
Okay.
You'd have seen enough reasons that that's.
So let me see if I can help you.
You call them trivia.
Let me see if I can help you doing. So because the Bible invites us to test the spirit, so you would have seen enough confirmation from the man that he is walking according to God's principles, right? But also with that, and why I drew reference to these men, even though David was only a one-timer, just because someone is walking according to God's principle and they are a man of God doesn't mean they won't fall.
Yeah.
And so many times the challenge that happens is a man who's fallen or has failed is interpreted as not a man of God, and so he's not an, as opposed to recognizing that part of the design, part of the expectation of woman is, hey, God looked at Adam in the perfection that he made and said, it is not good for man to be alone. I'm going to create an help for him.
Yeah.
So to be his help in his failings or in his flaws, as opposed to being his judge as inadequate. So you do want to make sure that he's passed some kind of a benchmark to go, hey, okay, fine.
Yeah, for sure.
There. But there, he is never going to be perfect.
Perfect, yeah. Just like how I'm never going to be perfect as well. But this is where we come together and we help each other out.
Yes. So then the evaluation is always going to be, how do you know that the man is of God? Because if you're already married, then the thought would have been, all right, he is good enough to put before God as the man, because now I'm taking this man as my head, as my leader.
Yeah.
And then now if you've done that, then can you go back now and go, okay, God, I changed my mind?
Why would I change my mind?
Because for some reason you're seeing some things now that say, oh no, he is not of God, and so now we need to part ways.
Not of God, some reasons. No, you have to break that down a little bit. Like it can, if it's little things that cannot be worked, if it's little things that can't be worked on, then of course I'm gonna like keep trying and.
But okay, so what are the big things?
Big things. Let's see.
Because as Dwayne said, David only committed adultery once.
Abuse.
So that wouldn't be a big thing. Abuse.
That'd be abuse. I feel like that would be a big one for me. Like abuse, I will not tolerate that.
Zero tolerance on abuse.
Zero tolerance. I feel like
So that's the only big one.
Mental, physical, emotional abuse for me. I wouldn't tolerate that.
It's 9:02, right? Who do you think commits more? You mentioned mental, physical, emotional. Who do you think commits more emotional and psychological abuse? Men or women?
I don't know.
There's actually stats on it.
I don't know the answer to that question.
One of the things that they've found in the statistics, and this governs the scope of relationships, even in terms of physical abuse, the numbers run around. Men commit 33% of physical abuse. Women commit 25% of physical abuse when it comes to male-female relationships.
Say that again?
In the male-female relationships,
yes,
men are usually cited as committing 33%.
33%
yes.
of physical abuse?
Yes.
Okay.
In those relationships, and women commit 25%. The
so
highest
what about,
the highest number for physical abuse actually happens to be female relationships, lesbian relationships. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes, they seem to be the most violent. And guess who the least violent are? Male. So they have surveyed and they have looked at these things. And so part of the challenge, of course, again, translates to men do men actually report, how likely are men to report? You have a big burly husband or whatnot and you're beating him. Is he gonna tell, hey, Genesis beat me up last night? Like,
no, I don't think you.
Not gonna happen, right? So these are some of the challenges that face men in these dynamics, and this is the actual reports coming from the WHO and the WHO, right? World Health Organization. And so there are some challenges, there are some statistics that doesn't necessarily align with the number of divorces in the world, because if we're saying, hey, these are the serious issues that we need to look at, but what are some of the other big things then that say, hey, these things don't work out? And what this comes down to, as we zero in on our topic and talking about equality, the expectations on men and the expectations on women, and what that looks like in 2024. And can we have open conversations about these expectations, and how do we find each other in these situations? How do we find each other when can a woman say, hey, I want a man who makes 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 100,000? Can we have honest conversations about these things? Because you know the kind of life that you want to live.
I think you could definitely have that honest conversation from the very beginning too, because like you don't want to waste each other's time. It's just a delivery for me, like.
And you said that, right? You said that, hey, you want to be able to have the conversation without getting into the without getting aggressive.
Yeah.
So if I were to ask you a personal question, what would that number be for you?
For me,
Yes.
I feel like I personally
For you, if a guy's gonna ask you to give up your job,
give up my job.
like, he can't ask you to do that. I thought we said he could lead.
Yes, you can lead. Of course, I would.
Putting you on the spot again, right?
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think I would be able to. I feel like there's so many other goals that I want to accomplish in life, and if he were to provide and be the leader, and I wouldn't have to worry for any of those things, like, yeah, I would definitely quit my job.
And so the invitation is always going to be for persons to think about these things, just like we're talking about. In order for you to have the conversation at the beginning of the relationship, we encourage both men and women to think about these things. And so you can know what they are before at the top. So you can know, hey, based on the kind of lifestyle that I want to live here in the Cayman Islands, or maybe I can move to Honduras or move to Jamaica. This is the kind, in order for me to give up my job, I would need a particular kind of security. What would that number be?
Oh God, I wouldn't be able.
Because she said $30 was her, $100 was her lunch. Because I know the kind of lunch that I want to eat. It depends. Dwayne is saying it depends in the back.
It depends on. It depends on.
On what? Let the people see you.
I think it would depend on. Where she is in life. For example, and it can't be just to where, depending on where she is in life. For example, as it is now, say she was married now, and the guy said, I would want her to give up, right? But they haven't
bought a house
yet, and all of that. She doesn't even know where inflation is going to go tomorrow.
No, but it allows you to think about where you are today. And I mean, if you're looking at house costs, and I mean, it's really rough on young people coming up now.
It is.
Being able to own a house, the
I
cheapest.
can testify to that.
There you go. The cheapest house that you're looking at is maybe 103, not even 100,
Not
300,
even 100.
$325,000 at a minimum, right?
One bedroom.
One bedroom. And then when you're looking at running the cost of that on a mortgage, you're looking at north of $2,500.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that means if you were to use the banking numbers to go, hey, banking, they're not going to give you a loan more than 30. I think they're up to 45% now. So that means at a minimum, to be able to afford that house, you need to be making something where about $5,000.
Yeah.
Which then translates and starts to give you a sense. If he's going to invite you to not work, he must be at minimum be earning $5,000 because you want to be able to live someplace.
Yeah.
And then of course you still want
I
to be
don't.
able to eat.
I think it's more than, well, at minimum you said.
At a minimum.
Because he has to be earning more than that. Because that is what he should be prepared to put in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. And so this is important for us to have these real conversations, because we go, hey, whatever he comes with. But then if you want to live in a house and you want to live in your own house, then him earning $2,000 is not going to do it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And faith doesn't work like that.
And faith doesn't work like that, right?
For all of my Christian friends.
And so here, what we're looking at is, okay, we have faith, we have potential, but potential has a real mortgage.
Yes.
And that mortgage is due today. And you could say, hey, maybe it's not there today, but as you said, within a year or 6 months, we'd like to move into our own house. So can you get to that number? Is the work permit going to come through and now you're going to be earning the $5,000? Or are we going to be underemployed, just earning the $2,000? And what do we do? And as Christians, is it fair for us to have these conversations, or should we just go, well, the money doesn't matter. The Lord will provide.
It is fair. Remember, faith without works is
Right?
nothing.
Genesis.
And that's the invitation on the show, for us to be able to have real conversations as real human beings, real Christians in church, to figure out how do we make life work in 2024.
It's difficult. It's difficult. I know for me personally, if that person or my partner, my spouse, whatever, isn't making enough to support both of us, like, I would definitely not quit my job, because it's a financial strain. It will be a financial strain on both of us, and that can lead to
Other problems.
Other problems, and like, I definitely wouldn't want to go through that. Yeah.
And that's very fair. And that's very fair, because if it's no, okay, fine, because we're about to be evicted any minute now, or we can't even afford to live in the house, and of course the landlord needs his own place, so we're about to be evicted anyway.
Yeah.
There's uncertainty there.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, you now have to go out and do a regular 9 to 5, and you don't like your boss and you're miserable, and now, hey, we want to make a family and we want to have 5 kids, but we don't live anywhere. All of these things now are going to be affecting us psychologically, affecting us emotionally.
Yeah.
Which then leads to a whole bunch of issues, fighting, contention, which doesn't lead to that happy home, that peaceful place.
Exactly.
And is it worthwhile to have these conversations at the beginning? That's what we have right here on The Wrecking Trade. From your final thoughts on what we've talked about today. We started out by going, hey, these ladies are horrible, but maybe they make sense.
I mean, yes, they do make sense. It's, for, like I said before, it's all about the approach for me, and it's very important to have those conversations to start off with, just to note and to plan your future with this person accordingly, because you don't want to build up these expectations and then 2 years down the line be disappointed and end up heartbroken, or with a marriage that has ended up in divorce.
Fair enough. And it's good for men to have goals, to have a target, so we know what you're working with. So be able to have those conversations, says, hey, I'm not there right now, but what are the things I need to do to make sure that I can get there, to make sure that I can be the man that I need to be for the woman that I want.
Yeah.
And so us together can have the life that we together need to have, so that we have enough time to serve God.
Yeah.
Because that's what it comes down to. If you're both slaving away, so busy, do you want final thoughts from you? If you're both slaving away and none of you have time for God or the children, then what's the point?
I am trying to, I'm really trying to process.
Let the people see you.
I'm trying to process this.
Yes.
It makes some sense. Some sense. But it cuts away a little bit on my personal beliefs, my personal values.
Yeah.
As you heard me said earlier on in the program, I think that money is overvalued, right? And that is not the most valuable thing in my relationship. Now, it might be the most valuable asset in your relationship. It's not in mine, thankfully. And so I know how difficult times can be. But I also have reference points where God has provided for me every single time. So it's not about, I mean, I can say this because I have money, or I don't have money. I'm not. Don't tell people that. Right. And a lot of people have that perception. Robert, let me just explain something to you. I am one of those persons in the world who is most giving and has received the least gifts. And not because people don't want to be kind. It's just because they think that I don't need anything.
You don't need it.
And again, that is from a point where I don't put the value on money or anything material that other persons put on it. And that came to me from when I was younger. The whole story of Lot and his wife turning into a pillar of salt. I have a weird way of thinking, guys. So when you read something and see something, I see that too, but I also see other things.
Okay.
And the message I get out of that is Lot wife found it hard to get out of Sodom into freedom because she had enough material things that she was tied to. And so if the more material things that I'm tied to on earth, it's going to be more impossible for me to go to heaven.
Yeah.
I can't appreciate it because it's going to be hard for me to leave it here and go. So that is what has drive my it's not that I'm not frugal. It's not that it's not that I don't have breaks and I don't value stuff, right? But stuff don't mean as much to me as they would mean to you, because I realize one analogy I think it's what my grandfather taught me when I was younger, never left me. He called me Richie. He said, Richie, hold this grapefruit in your hand. And I held it in this hand. He said, hold this as tight as you can. And I held it. And he said, hold one in this hand. Hold it as tight as you can. Don't drop it. Then he threw a football at me. And I couldn't catch a football. Because I was holding on to stuff. When I let things go, I'm able to hold bigger stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
And it sounds like great wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. It sounds like great wisdom. Part of the challenge that we recognize here in the Cayman Islands is that the Cayman Islands lives a life far above the majority of places here in the world.
Yeah.
And so by virtue of the fact that we live here in the Cayman Islands, we are actually very, very blessed. We are actually counted among some of the most wealthiest people in the world, even some of the more poorest people here in the Cayman Islands. And that's something that we have to be able to appreciate.
Yeah.
That's something that we have to be able to accept and recognize that by virtue of being here in the Cayman Islands, we are truly blessed.
Yeah.
And in being able to recognize those blessings, in being able to recognize how blessed we are, then we can truly appreciate what other people are able to go through. And that's what we're having a conversation here about. It's not necessarily comparing my resources to your resources, but recognize that we live in a world where we are truly blessed. And part of that blessing comes with certain expectations. A house here in the Cayman Islands, buying a house here in the Cayman Islands for $325,000 would be ridiculous in some place where you can buy a whole house, a whole palace for $50,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert, there are some things in life that money can't buy. You cannot put a monetary value on it. You would know that I do concerts, right? And these concerts are not cheap. And I can't fund them. I don't make the money to fund them. But for some reason, God would have put it in me for persons to have faith in me to spend money, to spend past $20,000. I mean, you don't. That's not a gift that a person gets on a regular.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? No, I'm not earning. No. Whatever.
But and the thought in that though, as we recognize that if someone just spent $20,000 with you, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it connects with the verse in the Bible where when the Mary Magdalene, she comes in and she breaks the bottle on Jesus's feet and wipes it with her hair. And the thought here, did we collapse? The thought here is Judas turns around and goes, this is so expensive, it could have been used to feed the poor. But we understand that money was his motive. We understand that he wanted the money for himself. But here, we realize that resources do matter. She wanted to bless God in that particular way because it's money that she had earned and he had just healed her. And so when we compare ourselves and go, hey, I have this bottle, I'm able to afford this.
Sorry.
I'm able to afford this, but I'm not blessed. But then someone who can't even afford a fraction of that, they're going to look at me and say, but what? What are you talking about? You can afford to live in the Cayman Islands in a house that it must be valued at least $325,000, and I don't live anywhere. So let us remember to count our blessings.
Yes. I'm trying to get myself off the screen.
And count them one by one so that we can recognize that, hey, as human beings, there are things that are required in our lives, as Dwayne is saying hi to us on the screen, and the mouse is stuck. Right? But then in understanding this, in recognize this, we can appreciate where we are and have real conversations with each other about where we actually want to be.
Yeah.
And how we actually want to live. And we'd love to all get to the place where, you know what, let us all just sell everything and go and preach and serve Jesus, right? And that's the invitation. But how many of us actually do that?
Realistically.
Realistically.
Or can afford to.
Or can afford to. Or have developed our faith enough to be able to go, yes, I'm ready, dear Jesus, sign me up. Because if that were the case, then we should all just sell our houses and give it to the church.
That's right. That's right.
Right? But that said, this is the Wrecking Trade, where we have a hard conversation, where we invite each other to recognize that this life works through conversation, by being clear on what we want, by being clear on where we want to be, and being clear on how we engage and interact with each other. And especially in 2024, where there's so many counter messages between men and women, between gender identity politics, between all the other things that are there to throw us off course and throw us into confusion. One of the last things that we want to do is to have confusion between the two of us who want to build a life together and serve God together, because that's where the ministry starts first. The ministry starts with the two, so the two can work together and be on mission together. And with that, this has been another awesome conversation, another wonderful place where we explore the wrecking trade, right? And on the wrecking trade, we look at masculinity, accountability, and responsibility, and how we explore these things through the lens of the male-female dynamic, the relationship between husbands and wives, boyfriends and girlfriends. So with that, until next week, my name is Robert Lynch. This is the Wrecking Trade, and Dwayne is signing us out. I'm wishing. Welcome to The Wrecking Trade, the radio show that provides a platform for a deeper understanding of issues affecting men in the Cayman Islands. Join us as we explore the low enrollment of men and boys in the college classroom, the absence of men in the church, and the absence of fathers in the home. Join the conversation as we help men find their place in the modern world through engaging interviews with experts and members of the community. We provide a clear picture of what healthy masculinity looks like as an example for boys and girls. Our mission is to provide a voice for men, to help them navigate the challenges that they face and provide hope for a brighter future. So tune in and join the conversation this and every Monday at 8